much. I'm trying to put myself back together after crying because our beautiful baby was singing. So I'm like, oh, okay. Talk is over. That's all you needed. We're good. Okay. Oh, so I'm going to take a deep breath, reground myself here. All right. So this month has been exploring the theme of creativity. And I know that Centers for Spiritual Living tends to attract very creative people, so this probably was your jam. But some of you might be like me, where I never really considered myself a very creative person because I don't feel I'm an artiste. You know, I don't have those kind of skills. And I think sometimes people falsely couple those two things, like that's the only thing. If you do that, then you're creative. Well, okay, so I hope this month you've explored, you know, there's all different ways that people are creative. In fact, I hope by now, after 4 weeks of exploring this, we're owning the fact that human beings are creative by nature. We're absolutely hardwired, formed to do this thing. It's like our primary modus operandi, the thing we do. And there's two ways we could take that thought about being creative. First is, I create. That's a fundamental belief in the teachings of science of mind. We've got a great big old teaching symbol here that is the creative process. Remember, the V is me, surrounded by divinity, and that V keeps going off into infinity, right? See how it does that thing? Okay, and that's the creative process. I can't control everything that happens. I know I'm not as magical as I'd like to be, but I can control how I react to it and the experience that I have. I can pave my way. I create my life. We believe that. That's, you know, principle of science of mind. I create, whether consciously or unconsciously. Now here we'd vote for conscious, but you know, I know sometimes I don't do so hot in that arena, but that's why we're here. But the more pedestrian way that people think of the word creative, that's also another aspect of I create. I am creative. I have an imagination. I can think of new and interesting and different ways to do things. I express myself in unique ways. That's really important too, both of those aspects coming together in the expression that is you. So, how does your particular brand of creativity express itself? Is it gardening? Is it computer science? Is it accounting? My God, I value that art, let me tell you, because not my jam. Is it music? Is it, you know, and for some of you, it really is art. Or is it cooking? Like, what is that? Because everybody is an artist. In fact, our oldest child, Skylar, reminded me of that when he was in high school. I was his freshman English teacher, poor kiddo, and I was giving everyone the spiel about, oh, everyone is a reader. You just need to find the right genre. Like if, oh, maybe you like graphic novels, or you like motorcycle magazines, or you like reading little blips of historic trivia. If you just found the right thing, you would be a reader. And of course, both our children are amazing visual artists. Bo and Skylar are amazing. And so I've always felt self-conscious, like, oh, I'm not an artist, and I couldn't draw a stick person with a stencil, which actually is true, but I was, you know, backtracking, oh, I'm not an artist. And of course, Skylar took my own words and flipped them back on me, which all good children do, and said, oh, Mom, everybody is an artist. You just have to find the right medium. Oh, touche. Okay. So I had to really think. Well, what's my medium? What's your medium? So for me, even in the art arena, I was surprised. I really like making found poetry. And thanks to Vicki and, you know, the spiritual community, if you've ever done her vision boarding workshops, those are amazing works of art. I love making found art. But even checking the whole artist arena, when I think of other things that I've done, when I was a school teacher for a couple of decades, I was super creative putting lesson plans together, trying to get really complex things, you know, to get kids to engage with that. Getting 16-year-olds to write a fully cited APA research paper, man, I was creative. That was creative. So it's not to undermine that. Or right now in my nonprofit gig, I am curating the learning agenda for 80 chapters across the United States and Canada online. I facilitate national trainings, but it's engaging and it's hands-on and it's in-depth and it's amazing. I get to be creative. So I really hope that we don't underestimate the ways that we truly are creative. So another thing for us to explore if we're not feeling creative is maybe that's just in the moment. Like maybe what you have been doing, maybe that's coming to a close. Maybe it's just not as satisfying as it used to be. Maybe you're shifting and there's something else that wishes to be expressed in this moment, something new, something different. So if you're feeling unclear, that's good information. We can take a look at that. So we're going to do a little thought experiment right now. Will you reach into the backs of the chairs and pull out some of that orange paper? And Marilyn, could I ask you to get some paper to Greg over here too? Thanks. So there's scrap paper. Go ahead and grab a piece. And if you're at home, just grab some paper. And we are going to do a little thought experiment. Okay. So for those of you who need a visual, I made one. I'm going to ask you to make a triple Venn diagram, 3 circles, as big as you can make it on that little piece of paper. So 3 big circles that are all crossing each other. 3 big circles. Okay. You're going to make them as big as you can on that piece of paper. We're going to do a little thought experiment here. And we're going to label those circles. So, but don't label them on the inside, label them on the outside, because you're going to need the room on the inside. So on the outside of the circles, one circle can be called skills. Another one of those circles can be called experience. And the final circle can be called passion. And I'm going to give you about a minute for you to bullet point in that outer space. Okay, what skills do you have? Right? No, just top drawer, what comes to mind immediately. We're just doing a quick pulse check here. And when you have time later today, if this feels valuable to you, you can come back to it and do even more. So just top drawer, bullet point, what skills do you have? Bullet point, what experience have you had? Like what comes to mind, top drawer? And then what is your passion? Take a moment right now. Oh, inside, yes. The biggest space that's there, that's where you're writing. Perfect. And whatever's coming to mind first are probably the most important. Not always, but go ahead and throw down and explore. That's all right. Your skills, your passion, your experience in the outer rings. Boy, for the people at home, you should see the smoke that's pouring out of the pens right now. Like, whoosh, people are writing like the wind. You have so many skills and experience, passion. Oh my gosh. All right, and again, you can revisit this later. We're just here's some top drawer ideas. We're dipping our toes into the pool. Okay, so now let's think about the center where all of that converges. And I know that might be a small space, but it's all right. If it's too small to write, and you can always write it on the back, we can adapt. It's all right. But looking at your skills, your passion, your experience, what would pull that all together into some kind of creative expression? What would that look like if you were doing that juicy center as your creative expression? Maybe you're already doing it. So that's an awesome confirmation for you. Hey, that's neat. Hey, that is what I'm doing. That's great. Then keep doing that. Or find a way to do that even better. But if what pulls that all together is something else, or something slightly different, or like, oh, that was unexpected. Okay, well, there's some interesting information for you to contemplate. What would pull together your skills, your passion, and your experience? because that's the creative expression that only you can bring to the world. So we've got the outer ring, we've got the juicy center, and there's that inner ring that's still empty. You could perhaps think about what action steps would help to bring that juicy center to the light of day. What would help you to share that with the world? So if you feel like it, you could put in some action steps. You could always save that for later when you get home, if you want to spend more time with it. But that inner ring is for the action steps. What could I do to light this up, share this creative expression with the world? Because yes, there is individual benefit to having creative expression. Of course, like I benefit when I express myself. But the benefit to the world when you share your passion, your skills, your experience, it's epic. Again, it's another thing not to be underestimated. So let's do another little thought experiment. We aren't going to write anything else down. We're just going to use our brains. We're going to take a It's a Wonderful Life moment. You've seen that Christmas movie, I'm sure. Okay, if you haven't, just follow along anyway. But let's just take that moment to think. If you were never born, what would the world not have had? And don't go for children, that's too easy. Like, I know your kids are awesome. Aren't our kids awesome? They're miraculous and amazing. Yes, but just you. Just you. Just think for a minute about that. Yeah. It's exponential, far beyond what we could ever imagine. I think of my own husband, Ken, who is a music teacher for 30 plus years and thousands of students. And I think of how many lives that's touched exponentially far beyond what he could ever even see. And some of the students who became professional musicians and toured the world and shared their own compositions with other people and became music teachers and birthed the next generation of musicians. That's amazing. The way his own father was his music teacher. And even beyond, okay, so not all the students became professional musicians or teachers, but for the students who said, oh my God, I have music in my life. That's amazing. And for the students who said, this music room is the only classroom I feel comfortable in. I can shine here. I can do something that's meaningful to me. This is the only reason I come to school. This is the only reason I get out of bed. And actually, quite a few times he's been told he's the only reason a student didn't take their life. That's how much sharing your creative expression with the world matters. It really, really matters to be able to shine your light, because you are a light in the darkness for people you may not even know need your light. So for those of you with a Christian background, you know I'm going there. Good old Gospel of Matthew, chapter 5. You've heard this one before, but I found a great translation, so it may freshen it up for you. It's called the Passion Translation. Your lives light up the world. For how can you hide a city that stands on a hilltop? And who would light a lamp and then hide it in an obscure place? Instead, it's placed where everyone in the house can benefit from its light. So don't hide your light. Let it shine brightly before others, so that your commendable works, or your creative expression, will shine as light upon them. And, this is my favorite part, and then they will do the same. Wow. So let's just think for a few minutes here. Why is it that some folks hide their light? And maybe we all have little glimmers of this in all different incarnations and combo packages of this, of hiding our light. I was listening to a Brene Brown interview of Daniel Pink, who wrote a book about regret. And he said over 16,000 people from around the world weighed in on what their biggest regrets were. And the number one regret was the thing that wasn't said or wasn't done. And he called it a boldness regret. Like, oh, if only I would have been bold in that moment. If I would have said that, or I would have taken that opportunity, or I would have, could have, should have, right? That's why that one's so tender. It's so raw. It's hard. Yes, and hindsight, 2020, that's hard. But boldness. I think about the books that haven't been written, the songs that haven't been sung, the art that never got shared, the inventions that didn't make it to the shelf, the companies that were never born. So what's the kink in the hose? Like what's stopping things from seeing the light of day? What stops me from being bold? For a lot of folks, it's that worthiness issue. Like, oh, who am I to do this thing? And I'm not really qualified. I've said that when I was subbing for Zenobia with the guys, and I'm up there playing piano and I'm terrified. I'm like, well, I don't have a degree in music and I'm not a professional musician, so I don't know. And then Jay Blea, I love him. He just stopped me cold one day while we're eating our cake, and he's like, hey, Kamatara, do you get paid for playing music? Yes, sir. Then you're a professional musician. Oh, snap. Okay, I have to stop telling that story about myself, that worthiness story. So what is this creative expression about? Does it only count if I'm a superstar? Do I have to be Katy Perry to sing that song? Like, no. It's about living that passion, replenishing my soul, like making that horrible painting and singing off key and writing some bad poetry. You just caught me in a nutshell right there. That would be me. But where do we start? It has to start somewhere. And a lot of folks fear that it won't be good enough. Does it have to be an A+ to share it? I mean, that's what I learned from Scott Miller, my former boss at Circles USA. He would tease me because I am at times a perfectionist, and he would say, Kamatara, go for the B. It does not have to be an A+. Go for the B. This has to get out the door. It's okay. And what's the worst that can happen? You make a little mistake, and then you apologize and you fix it. Or you do better next time. Get her done. Get it out the door. It doesn't do anyone any good sitting in our Dropbox or wherever it's burning a hole, hanging out, not seeing the light of day. And I love how Beverly Sills says it. You may be disappointed if you fail, but you are doomed if you don't try. And we know from all of Brene Brown's work that daring to enter the arena, to give it a shot, it takes vulnerability. And that's why this stuff is hard. It is scary. When we dare to present our talents, our gifts, our passion, we're both vulnerable and we're victorious. But to get to the victory, you have to be vulnerable. And that takes so much courage. As a lot of you know, getting up here takes a lot of courage. But we have to open our hearts and let down the ego defenses and just dare to live authentically, to give it a shot. If we want the rewards of a life well lived, we have to let our light shine. So is it about fear? Is it worthiness? Is it self-doubt? Is it not wanting to be vulnerable? Or I'll do you one more. We know this from reading Marianne Williamson, who's so powerful. Is the kink in the hose that we're actually afraid of our own expression? Are we afraid of our own real power? And I know you've heard this quote before, but it merits repeating, so I'm going to say it again. And if the word God doesn't jive for you, just use the word love, and it'll ring true. Okay. Our deepest fear. You already know where I'm going, right? Best quote ever. So good reminder, our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You are a child of God. a child of love. Your playing small does not serve the world. There's nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We are all meant to shine as children do. We were born to make manifest the glory of God that is within us. And it's not just in some of us, it's in everyone. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others. Hallelujah. Woo, personal liberation. And that's what this teaching is all about. Personal and collective liberation. This is it. So what would happen if you gave yourself permission to express your creativity full out? No regrets, no fear, no boldness issues. Because we all long to feel alive, awake, energized, uplifted. But the only way to get there is to allow that full creative expression. There's got to be some kind of creative outlet. So I hope this week you are going to reflect on what creative idea or ideas are still trapped inside of you, just waiting to see the light of day. And what lives at the intersection of your skills, your passion, and your experience. Are there any action steps that you might take to just reach a little bit further past your comfort zone and allow yourself to fully express that creativity? And really contemplate, what benefit might you get from that expression? What benefit might other people get from this very victorious act of vulnerability? And if not now, when? What are you waiting for? It's time to be bold, to let your creativity shine for all the world to see. Because as Bo and Ken were singing to us, baby, you're a firework. Come and let your colors burst. It's time. Thank you. So we're going to go to prayer now. Take a moment to turn inward and settle into that space where we know that we know there is one presence, one love, one heart, one mind that is expressing as each person, each place, each thing, and even beyond what we can understand. All of that is divinity embodied. And this beautiful embodiment is expressed in an infinite variety of ways. And this creative expression that each beautiful being here sets forth to the world. And so I honor the creativity of each person, the skills, the passion, the experience that only you can bring. For God so loved the world that you are here by divine appointment. And so I claim for each person here a reconnection to their creativity, to their boldness, to their courage to express that creativity, to share it with all the world, to let it out and let it shine, and to know that every creative expression is divinely guided, supported, and blessed, because this is the place where the divine shows up. Through you, in you, as you. And so I'm grateful for this time together, that we can reconnect with the truth of our being, that we are creative in essence, in every way, shape, and form. And I'm grateful to share the journey together in this beautiful spiritual community, to know the truth for each other, even when we can't know it for ourselves. I am so grateful. And so knowing that all is divinely guided and blessed, and the week yet to come is unfolding in divine right order with beautiful expressions of creativity, I let it go and let it be, knowing that truly all is well. And so it is. Amen.
Right.